It's variety.
Hello, and welcome to Variety with me, Adam Sternberg. On today's show, today's guest has played a major part in the status that gospel has today. It started with the first community gospel choir, which he put together in the beginning of the 1980s, so some time ago, which I believe originally was just for one concert. Well, that one concert turned into many, many thousands of concerts all over the country, and indeed all over the world. And within the UK, he's performed at some of the most, or they have performed at some of the most iconic locations. They've also performed with some very, very famous names in the music industry, from Tom Jones to Elton John to Madonna. So I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to today's podcast the founder of the London Community Gospel Choir, the Reverend Bazil Meade. Hello, Basil. Lovely to see you.
Adam, that was tremendous.
Yes, that took me a long time to...
You've done it before, right?
Not about you. I haven't done it before. That was yes. The trouble with all these podcasts is sort of summating everyone thing in a very short time, and me trying to remember it without.
It just oozes from
oozed
you.
out.
Flows from you. It's brilliant. Thank you very much for inviting me to do this with you. It's, we've never met.
We haven't, although we have spoken on the phone. So this is a pleasure to meet you in person and obviously to speak to you. I wanted to start, if I may, as I do with all my guests, at the very beginning, where you were born and what was that like, where you're from.
I was born in Montserrat, the tiny Caribbean island, where a volcano erupted in 1995.
Which is now split in two, I believe, is it? Or you can't access an area?
No, that's another one. Well, actually, the area that was destroyed was the area I was born in.
Okay.
So you actually, I went back 1998. Sir George Martin, who lived on Montserrat, also had air studio built on Montserrat.
Did he now?
Yeah, there was 3 air studios in the world. One in Montserrat, one in New York, and one in Oxford Street. I actually met him for the first time in the Oxford Street version.
Not in Montserrat?
Not in Montserrat. Because he had hired me on LCGC to sing on Give My Regards to Broad Street, Paul McCartney's album.
And when was that?
That must have been like 83, 84. It was really early.
So that's right when you started there?
Yeah, not long after we started, we just began getting some TV profile because that kicked off almost immediately. And he invited me, maybe because I was Montserratian, and he...
Did he know that?
Well, he found out, I think, because I started to do interviews. So I was talking about it. In fact, I met his wife in the hallway of Air Studio Oxford Street, and along the wall were photos, looked like a beautiful Caribbean island sea and coconut trees and so forth. So I started looking at them. I said to the lady, where are these photos taken? She said, Montserrat, with an accent. And I said, a white lady speaking with a slightly Montserratian accent. So I said, what, do you live there? And then we began to talk, and I told her, well, I'm from Montserrat. And she began naming areas of Montserrat that I didn't know because I left there when I was 9.
So you left there at 9?
I left there at age 9.
So can I just go to there then? So you're in Montserrat at 9. You then left to where? To the UK?
I came to UK in 1961. That gives my age away straight away. Do the math.
I have just done the math. Oh, you're looking well for it though now. So very well.
You've calculated that already.
I have very well. Yes. That's amazing. So it's the music, I reckon. So why did you leave? With your parents, I presume?
My mother came. She was here. You know, the request by UK government for people to come. We're still a British colony now. Still got a governor on the island, etc. So my mom came up and she worked as they all did and saved some money to send for her children.
So she went first?
She came first. Dad never came. He said, I'm not going to any cold country. He said, I'm not.
Very wise. Yeah. So there you are, in the Caribbean with a lovely temperature and the sort of the sea. And mind you, I suppose one thing England offered was work and money, I presume.
That's why people came. But a lot of them came with the intention of going back after 5 years. They said that they had a 5-year plan, which didn't work for majority of them. So they ended up staying. They bought a home, they stayed, brought the rest of the family up, those who wanted to come, and just put their roots down. So Mom never went back.
Wow. And whereabouts in London did you go originally?
Lower Clapton, East London.
Okay.
That's where I lived. I've never lived in any other part.
And you're still there now?
I'm now in. When I got married, bought my first home in Leighton, Waltham Forest.
But still in that neck of the woods.
That's where my office and studio is for the 42 years of LCGC. That's where I founded LCGC.
So, age 9, you came with your siblings, or
no? It's on my own.
On your own.
In fact, I travelled on my own at that age. My dad, there were a couple of guys coming from my village with me. My dad said, keep an eye on my boy for me. That was it.
And how did you feel? Do you remember how you felt then?
No, scared.
Scared? Well, yeah, I would have thought so.
Yeah, I was sick for most of the time because I'd never been on a boat like that. That's that size.
Oh, it wasn't, did you go the whole way back?
No, we couldn't afford that. I'm a country boy. I couldn't afford it.
There am I.
Yeah,
nice white middle class person assuming you went by a nice plane.
It's part of the Windrush.
But I was going to say, so it's part of the Windrush thing.
Yeah. We were about over 2 weeks at sea. It did the route. Because it came to Montserrat, then Antigua, stopping off.
Picking up
yeah, like a bus. Yeah, and that's what...
No wonder you were sick. So that whole journey, two weeks on a boat, which I imagine wasn't the most comfortable...
We're all in like cabins where there are 4, 5, 6 beds, some bunk. And that's where everybody was. That's how it was back then. I think they probably kitted out ships that were doing other things to bring people up to UK. And yeah, I was sick for most of the time. The smell, the food smell was different.
Not a good one.
Not a good one.
Not a good one.
Alien to me. So, it was a strange baptism for me as a young kid, traveling on my own, scared, but strange as there were people from all of these smaller islands there. So it was a
community.
A community.
You felt safe, did you, at that point?
I think so. I just still had that underlying discomfort because I was a kid on my own.
Because you see, I think this is the issue for people like me and a lot of comfortably off white people. We haven't experienced quite that. I mean, obviously you hear about a Windrush or Price, but you don't quite get it because you've never quite done it.
Yeah.
And that experience clearly must be formative for you. At that age, it has an impact.
Yeah. I grew up, my first proper pair of shoes was to prepare me for the travel. I was barefooted all the time. I lived in the country. We lived in a small wooden house, and we lived off the land. Dad went to the sea. We would go with him, whatever he caught. So I'm quite experimental with my food.
With your food? Good for you.
Yeah.
Do you cook?
Absolutely.
No, we'll get. Let's not rush it. We're gonna finish this podcast without ever actually talking about music at this rate. So you arrive here at the age of, you said 6?
9.
Sorry, 9. Was music already a part of your life before then?
Not in the sense I wasn't getting lessons or I didn't have to learn to play anything. What would happen each year, Mom would send down a parcel, which was customary for Caribbean people. You look forward to the parcel at Christmas. It would contain the Seaside, the rock, the sweets.
Oh, did you eat that? Seaside?
Yeah. I've children...
never quite. Well, I've sort of got it, but as an adult, you think, really, this is like
it was
one way to break your teeth and also to feel
good teeth was common within the Caribbean. We didn't have too much of that. Didn't have a local sweet shop where you can buy sweets all the time, so you didn't get sweets.
It's a special thing.
Yeah, it's very special. So Christmas time, we look forward to that. She'll send clothes, she'll send toys, and a mouth organ, harmonica. So that I would mess around with that occasionally, and that was my musical outlet, if you call it that. You didn't have homes. There was one woman there in the village who was a school teacher who had a piano in her home, and she would play a little bit.
Were your family at that point church going?
We all went, yeah.
So there would have been, I presume, music there.
Would have been one of those pump organs, old pump organ type things in service, Methodist church. And that's where my dad was. He became like the caretaker of the church after a while. So he insisted, he worked very hard, but Sunday was a day of rest. And most people in the village went to church of some kind. Yeah, you had a local mission with some more Pentecostal type thing.
Yeah.
But we went to the Methodist church. And, that's where I attended. So that was it.
So you had your mouth organ, and that was your first thing in.
Yeah, it's just to keep myself entertained. You play that for, of course, it wouldn't last very long because you're playing all the time. Give it a few
the whole
months.
thing would gum up, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So you arrive here. Tell me what happens then when you get to the UK. You get back.
Oh my goodness, at Southampton.
So the boat docks at Southampton.
Yeah. And so I'm seeing white people close up for the first time.
There are a lot of them, probably.
A lot of white people.
And they're probably pretty amazed with you, probably, I imagine, at the same time.
Well, everybody's busy getting on because most of the white people there are employees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're getting on. There are loads of them in uniforms, which I'd never seen before. They were trained. I'd never seen a train before. Never. Of course, it was throwing out steam and it was massive iron horse, as the Indians would call it.
Well, very much so. That point, yeah.
And the thing is, I was dressed as if I was still in Montserrat.
So you're freezing.
This was February.
You were freezing.
Absolutely freezing. My mother, who got a lift to come from Clapton, where she lived, to come and get me, was late. So by the time she arrived, everyone else had gone.
And you were just there.
So I was left, and they took me into, I've told this story so many times, into lost property. And that's where she found me. She had a coat, maybe twice the size, but I didn't care. No, I just put it on for warmth. I was in warmth, but coming outside, it was
so there must be
steam coming out of people's faces.
So that must have been quite emotional, I imagine.
When I look back on it, you know what? I don't know. I didn't think too much about it. It was just another planet for me. It was overwhelming as a young kid. Everything I was seeing was strange. People, the atmosphere, the smell of the place, and the language, the accents I was hearing. But like I said, I was the last person there, so all of the Caribbean accents I was hearing, they're gone.
So how long do you think it's taken you from that point to feel at home here? How long did it take you?
Oh my goodness.
That process?
It took me a long time because then when I arrived in Clapton, there were signs on the shops, no black, no Irish, no dogs.
See, we have our issues now, clearly, but we forget where we've come from in terms
that is what I was experiencing as a young kid, walking in.
So, of course, that's not very welcoming, and that must...
No. Abuse, young white guys in their cars, rolling down the window, black walk, go back to your country, and that was happening regularly. So that is the hostile environment I was in as a young kid. I was facing. I had a fight on the first day I arrived at school. The first day. Because there was a playtime and the boys were playing, very boisterous game. And one of the kids said, come and join us. And I went in. There was one guy that nobody was touching. I didn't know who he was or why nobody was touching him. So I went and I pushed him down as everybody else was doing. Wrong thing.
The wrong thing.
You
misjudged the mood.
I misjudged the mood. He got up and just smacked me in the eye. Oh my goodness! I saw all the stars. I relive that moment whenever I tell the story. Yeah, all the stars over in heaven, and I went berserk. So I jumped on him, grabbed him, put him in a headlock. And that's typical reaction of a Caribbean boy. You're taught if you
attack, defend yourself.
Yeah, defend yourself. You don't go home and complain. You defend yourself. They had to go get a teacher to come out and break it up. And I severely warned my first day. Severely warned. That was a school bully. I didn't know that.
But then it's probably good you did what you did.
Yeah, never had any problems again in the school, primary school. Never. So I left from there to secondary school without any issues at all. Yeah.
So then you've been in England for some time. So then at some point music must have...
Yeah, it came later. I was going to church by that time we were living in Dalston Lane, still Hackney. And there was a Pentecostal church, New Testament church I got that the mom would take us all to. And so there was music. There was a piano there. The minister played the guitar. And that... it's my older brother, who by this time had arrived. He had learned to play the guitar in Montserrat a little bit. So first thing he bought, he was about 16 at the time, first thing he bought when he started working was a guitar. So he was playing that in the house. And I started showing interest in that. And he showed me a few chords that he was playing. So I started picking the guitar up. And then in the church, the ministers caught wind of what I was doing and encouraged me to try and get a guitar. I started working by that time.
So how old would you have been then?
I left school at 15.
Oh, okay. So about...
So say 15, 16, around that time. So that's when it was my first instrument.
And would you accompany the choir?
There wasn't any choir.
So it was just...
It was just me and the minister.
He would sing to you playing the guitar?
Yeah, he took interest in what I was doing and said, encouraged me. And then he started showing me more because he was quite a good player. And he was accompanying the services. He was pretty good. So I started playing like him. And I was playing guitar in the services. And that's when I introduced me. But the really serious part of my revelation about my musicality came later with the assistant pastor, who was a lady called Olive Paris. By this time, my family life wasn't very good. My mother had remarried here, and I was not getting on with her husband. And life was pretty uncomfortable for me, and I think it was showing on my face and my body language. So she would call me aside and speak with me. How are you? How are things going on? You don't look very happy. There was a Tuesday meeting for young people, and she would spend time, the young guys in particular, the young ladies would go along to that, and she would try to be like a youth leader. And I was getting support from her through that. But the relationship became more supportive. She invited me one evening to her home, putting everything in a nutshell here. And she played piano a little bit. She was an evangelist as well. So she traveled up and down the organization's branches in various parts of the country, ministering. And she played piano and accompanied herself at times. So she invited me to her home one evening. I went and she was playing the piano. She said, "Oh, come and play." I said, "Well, I can't play." She said, "Oh, come, I'll show you." That was the moment. That evening, she showed me my first few chords, which was the C sharp, which is still my favorite key to play in today. And by the time I left that evening, I was accompanying her.
Tell me, what do you find, why C sharp? What's interesting about that chord?
A lot of gospel songs are written in the that we call the black notes. C sharp, E flat, F sharp, A flat, B flat.
And does that give gospel music
its particular sound?
Yes,
absolutely. I find that. I've set a lot of my songs in E flat because one of my favorites is C sharp and E flat. Because I find the vocal sound, in particularly the way we arrange our harmonies and the melodies, those kids, as you move along the keyboards with the notes, the chords, it just gives us a beautiful color, and the sound that comes back from the voices as we play around with them. We don't necessarily follow any the sort of structures of, say, like classical music where everything has to be in a box. If it doesn't sound right, we change it, and we create a chord that will give us the sound that we want. That could be vocally or on an instrument.
So I was going to ask you this later, but as we're at this, I'll ask you this now. So gospel singing, the music's not written down then? I mean, it's not.
Oh, it is now.
It is now.
But you'll find still, I'm very much in the old school vein. So I'd have to get somebody to write the music down to put the songs into dots.
Yeah,
so
and of course you're in good company because historically it's well known, like Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
never. Right. I think he did now because he wrote that, but I think in the past. Yeah. So in gospel, how much is improvised on the moment, and how much is written?
It depends on the artist, but still quite a lot of it. If you're old school like me, the modern musicians want everything in the box. In its place.
Regimented in its place.
And for me, that takes out the soul of the music and the possibilities on stage, because unless you've grown up in that, it's not easy to, in fact, it's hard to do. Let's say it like that. If you've grown up in it, which is normally people who have grown up in the black-led churches, the Pentecostal churches, singing that music from they were children, they will understand by ear what is going on. And you're absolutely glued to your conductor, or sometimes not even with a conductor, but you can hear where the chords are going because it gives you a nudge vocally, and you can hear where the changes are happening. And like even now, we were on the stage at Marlborough College. We did a show at Marlborough College on Sunday, and there were certain things. My son was conducting. I was out front. And there were certain things he was doing behind me. My back was turned to him, but I could hear where his mind or musically was
That's
going.
interesting, isn't it? That
Yeah,
is
and the choir, of course, they had to be watching him to know what he was instructing, conducting them to do. And that happens, and of course,
so of course that's
keyboardist.
completely different. I just mentioned I was in the choir. That's completely different to your traditional Western choral music, where it's very formal, very rigid, and there's no movement. You have to watch a conductor for tempo and stuff like that.
You have to sing on the stage what you rehearse.
Exactly. You can't. If you don't do that, you're in big trouble. That is very, very interesting.
Yeah, we improvised quite a lot.
Going back to that woman, what was her name again?
Olive Paris.
Olive Paris. So tell me how you went from that to gospel singing choirs.
Well, she eventually left that organization and started her own movement. And I left the church with her. By that time, our relationship, gosh, there's so much. By this time, I had left my home. I ran away to Germany. I went to Germany to escape there because I had a fight with my stepfather. It was pretty desperate. Because he was ill-treating Mom, and I would hear my bedroom was next door. Yeah, and at one moment, I just got up. I didn't care what was going to happen. I decided to confront this man, and I did that. Of course, he didn't like it, and went and got a hammer and came back at me. And we were having a struggle outside the bedroom, and they went to went to hit me, and I was pretty strong at that time, so I held him off, and we wrestled with this thing in the air, and eventually I managed to maneuver him, threw him off me and into the toilet area, and I ran down the stairs, and I got my jacket and whatever. I went out the house, ended up in Leicester Square. There was this guy advertising for people to go to Germany to sell encyclopedias to American forces. That was my music to my ears. I didn't know much of anything about it. There were another two or three guys, three guys maybe, I think it was, who were listening to him. We were all similar age. So maybe we were all desperate. And the next day, with my small case and what little pocket money I had, we were back there. We got into a Jaguar and we headed to Mannheim in Germany. That journey took hours, you might imagine, driving to Germany. Nothing he told us was truthful. But we found out when we got there weren't any bases for us to go, and he hadn't made any arrangement. We never saw an encyclopedia, never got in a base. Accommodation, we were sleeping on a floor in a building somewhere. We were having to eat, obviously. So whatever pocket change we had, it was disappearing. Some entertainment. I remember he invited us out one night, went to this nightclub. No idea. I'm just going with the flow. And got into this place and playing music, and you looked around and all the women seemed rather tall. And then you started looking closer, and then you got the shaving trail.
So you realized maybe they weren't women at all.
They weren't women at all. And oh my God, we became so uncomfortable. I certainly definitely didn't like it. And went out, left the place and went back to where we were staying. I then said, look, I'm running out of money. I can't speak the language. I know nobody here. I need to get back to UK. So went to the train station, found out what it would cost to ride the train back to Germany, France, and back to the coast, and just about had enough. So I bought a ticket, pretended to go to sleep like everybody else. Then I slipped out, went to the train station, and got on the train and headed back to the French coast and across to UK. I rang Olive and told her my situation, my dilemma, and she said, well, by that time she was living in a home with about 4 bedrooms. She said, well, I've got plenty of space. You come and stay here until you decide what you want to do. I stayed with her until I got married. She took me in, treated me like I was her son. She might as well, and she called me her son, basically, and the church. It was a turning point of my life. And that's when the whole music thing really started, because she mentored me in so many ways. She would give me English lessons to help my vocabulary, taught me self-love,
which is the most important thing, isn't it? And then you have more confidence and you feel you can...
Yeah, I was very angry prior to that. I was living in a very oppressive situation.
So let's move forward to the actual formation of the London Community Gospel Choir. That was in 1982?
82.
Tell me how that came about.
There was me. There was Lawrence Johnson, who was in my church as well. He's the younger version, and he was in charge of the youth choir. I was in charge of the old music of the church, the senior choir. And there was John Francis, now Bishop John Francis, big name in the Black-led churches now. And there was Delroy Powell from another organization. He became Bishop Delroy Powell as well years later. But the four of us we all had our independent choirs, and we would sing, minister, what you call it, at various church functions with our choirs, and we would all celebrate and pat each other on the back. Your choir sounded great, etc. And we just began toying with the idea: what about uniting our choirs? A mass choir, because it never been done before. So we said, let's put all our voices in. If we can get 100 voices, it would be amazing. That was the idea, to put one concert, a celebratory concert in London. That was the idea. Eventually we did it. What really prompted it, there was a guy who was in what do you call it, forwarding business. So he was exporting stuff to Nigeria and Africa. And he arranged a cruise to Gothenburg, a gospel cruise, where he invited a lot of people from the Black church, young people. And we booked on that, and we met a lot of young people, a lot of them singing in their choirs, and we shared the idea, and the reaction was tremendous. And so we decided when we returned to London that we would call a rehearsal and to see how it would sound and what it would look like. And we did that. It was amazing.
How many voices?
By this time, we started our first concert with 56 voices. And that was in Kensington Temple, Notting Hill area. And that was our first concert. I think the photo we sent for this is from that concert.
Can we see the first photo?
There you are. That was our very first concert.
Are you in? Is that you on the side?
Yeah, I'm the two guys in the front. I think I'm there. Or it's on the side. I think I was on the left side. That's the choir. I'm on the left side. You got the choir conductor with his back to us.
A lot of women. And
always.
Is that always the case?
2/3 ladies. Yeah, the rest the guys. It's a lot less now.
Yeah, and where was this? This was in
83. That was,
and that was in Kensington.
Kensington Temple, Notting Hill, just about a 3-minute walk from this station, Notting Hill Station.
So you did that first concert. Then you met these guys on this cruise. So that expanded the number of voices?
We grew, after that concert, within about 6 months, the membership became over 100. People after that concert was inundated
with phone calls. Yeah. And at that point, would you accept anyone, or were you auditioning, or would you just...
It was more, I think we auditioned, but wasn't as strict as we became later. We were just happy that people wanted to be part of it. It didn't go down well with a lot of the church leaders at the time. Why? Because they thought I was trying to steal their members. But it was nothing like that. It was total opposite. In fact, we had an application form where they must fill in the church and a name of somebody in their church that we can speak to say that they belong to church, they're regular church attenders, and that they attend the church regularly. I wasn't interested. I was already in a church where I was quite...
Yes, you weren't taking them from the church.
Yeah, I wasn't interested.
So at that point, would you then be rehearsing weekly or...
Weekly, every Wednesday. Still, we're doing that now. Wednesday has always been our rehearsal day.
Rehearsal day.
Yeah, still do that now.
And then at what point did it start? Because you mentioned before that you had that contract with George Martin. That was only a couple of years after that. Then. So things moved quite quickly.
Yeah, and imagine within our Pentecostal churches, doing anything that was not with a Christian organization was taboo. It was frowned on. Because we are meant to be separate from the world. But my attitude was completely different. I think that one of the things that made the pastors uncomfortable as well, because I felt that we should not be isolating ourselves within our Black community. We should be out there to everybody. Give everybody access so they can hear this wonderful music and the message of the music.
And so it's quite evangelical in a way, isn't it? Because you're getting out there and you're spreading the word through music.
Absolutely. And now it's the norm. I mean, it's completely changed. That concert and what followed has changed the whole gospel situation here in the UK.
So at that point in the UK, what was happening? Gospel? Just local churches doing their own stuff?
They looked to their own stuff, and then occasionally you would have a concert in churches. It wasn't even in theatres. It was normally in churches.
So would you say before you existed, there weren't gospel concerts outside of churches then?
Hardly.
Okay.
If they did happen, it was far and few in between. It was churches allowed their churches to be used for concerts to keep it's part of the whole as being separate from the world. But we soon realized that it really wasn't promoting the Christian message in the way it was meant to be promoted.
So for you, I presume, gospel is a Christian music genre fundamentally, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's where it came from. The roots are in slavery.
So tell me about that a little bit. The history of gospel.
The history of gospel. It's the beginning of the slaves. That's a long story.
A condensed version.
It came from the work songs. So from the work songs, and you had other styles. And of course, they weren't permitted to go into worship with their masters. They would hear the music, the hymns. Amazing Grace being one of the most famous hymns. Amazing Grace, yes. How sweet the sound, save the wretch like me. That was written by a former slaver himself. And then they began using some of the lyrics, the stories from those songs to write other songs apart from the work songs, which they used to help them through the long sunrise to sunset days working in the fields. So that's where the Negro spirituals, as they were called, came out of that.
So there's a difference between Negro spiritual and gospel?
Yeah. Negro spiritual were always very sad. There were songs that were depicting or talking about...
this bad situation.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long way from home. I'm a long way from home. Sad.
So that's Negro spiritual.
Yeah.
And of course, those are now adapted for everyone to be singing. Everyone does.
Yeah, spirituals, the songs, very famous people. You've got Nina Simone was singing a lot of, she was known for that. And many other singers, blues singers, some of the jazz singers would sing those songs because they are depicting the journey. They're sharing the journey of the music to what it is. Then it went through different phases of development. And then it came to, I think, probably songs like you have Thomas Dorsey, Precious Lord, Take My Hand. Now, he was a blues artist, converted to Christianity, then began writing Christian songs. And that was one of his most famous, Precious Lord, Take My Hand. Oh Happy Day came later.
And so gospel grew out of the slaves, grew out of the songs they would sing, then brought by them, I presume, through the world, wherever they went.
Yeah, their generations. Obviously, they're new people being, and the whole relationship with the Christian faith becoming more grounded, more affirmed. Then they began writing songs after the emancipation. Then the story is different. Freedom. Slavery has still not ended back up in the 1930s and 40s and 50s. They began writing songs because they were the former slaves were now being converted to Christianity. So the lyrics were their experiences was different. So many different songs were being written, and those are the ones that are the foundations of modern gospel music. Still changed down through the years as each generation expressed their experiences. The music that wrapped these lyrics and these melodies changed as gospel, the blues came about, jazz came about.
So there is some path between gospel, blues, jazz.
Oh, absolutely. It's a thread that runs through all of them. Gospel is the original.
It's the starting point.
It's the starting point.
So we have gospel to thank then from a lot of the music.
Black music
that's out there.
Yeah.
Through to even like rhythm and blues and all the stuff that's...
all came from the gospel. Look, majority of the artists are from the church. Majority of the artists, rhythm and blues, rock, the rock and roll, soul music, you name it, they all came from the church, blues.
And the irony is, though, as you were sort of saying, that now a lot of that music is seen as, well, not sacred, and not touched with religion. In fact, sometimes quite the opposite, I suppose.
Yeah. Lyrically, no. But if you dig into the soul of those artists, their artistry is inspired by what they learned singing in gospel or playing in gospel music. And that is why there was such intensity and soulfulness coming from the instruments and the vocals of those people. Aretha Franklin is a prime example.
So Aretha Franklin is a soul. I would call her a soul singer.
Yeah,
but not a gospel singer.
Well, to me, she's the best when she's singing gospel and blues. She did other stuff, but Aretha's gospel is just tremendous. She was probably the first really outstanding female vocalist for gospel music. Outstanding. And now she's my favorite vocalist. Amazing. Because I connect with her voice. I don't know. It's just doing things to my soul when I listen to that woman.
There's gospel music. I mean, music that is... But is there a gospel way of singing? Is there a gospel sound, I suppose? Gospel
sound, and it's the sound of the black voice mainly.
So that gets me on to another question, actually. Okay. White people singing gospel. I mean, I noticed in your choir there are white people singing gospel.
Yeah.
Is there a problem there?
There's not a problem. There's a difference. We recognize and we acknowledge that there's a difference.
In terms of the tone?
The tone, and particularly tone. There are some white singers. If you close your eyes, you're sure it was a black person. Because they've captured the essence of the toning, the delivery, the timing of the vocals, the runs, and so forth. I remember being in the Scandinavians was one of the first that really impressed me. The choirs, they would listen to African-American choirs because they're the leaders of that. And they captured that sound, their directors, or I think they would have African-Americans going and working with them, doing workshops with them. And their sound, the toning and the delivery was just tremendous.
But then aren't they just sort of mimicking, I suppose, as opposed to being authentic?
Yeah, to a point. But I think there are occasions when people have actually understood the core, the connection that you need to have to deliver toning, lyrically, the message, and connecting to the journey of the music. I know it's difficult,
so it's quite complex.
I think sometimes they have.
It's not just the tune.
No. Yeah, and that's what I try to teach when because I still do a number of visits to parts of Europe, Spain and Italy and other places, conducting workshops. I always begin by telling them a little bit about this journey of the music. So there's some understanding. I'd never have enough time to do it, but I think it's important to sow those seeds so they can research it for themselves. So that when they sing, there is more connection, more understanding about this music. It's not just an art form. It's much more than that.
And I suppose that's the depth of it, isn't it? And I think with all these things is that as an audience, you get the effect. You experience the joy, but
Absolutely.
You don't quite understand what's gone into it or why you're feeling that joy. You just think,
yeah. It's uplifting.
It's uplifting.
I'm walking out feeling that I've had an experience that I will always cherish and remember.
But because also, so there's something else about gospel that I've just remembered is the physicality of the performance.
Yeah.
It's
the energy.
The energy, but it's the movement. It's not.
Yeah.
You're not just. When I sing, we're all
yeah.
Turn pages. But from what I remember, there's choreography.
There's choreography, movement. A good gospel choir. My choir was well known for being an energetic unit when we're on stage because we believe in dancing. It's celebration. And
But it's that
important
joy,
to do
it's
that.
feeling
Yeah.
of the freedom, isn't it? It's,
Yeah.
it's what you mentioned before about freedom. It's like, if you suddenly discover yourself to be free?
It's celebration. There's no other way to say it. I mean, they're solemn songs, but they're very moving emotionally. There's some songs, amazing songs that's been written. When the choir sings it, they might stand still. But the journey you've been taken on is one of sound and emotion and the message of the music.
And also texture, I think. The layers of sound.
Yeah.
The chords.
The chords and the
chords.
movement of the voices. It's beautiful and one that treats the whole person. And that is the intense experience you're going to have with a good gospel choir and a conductor. And where the music is at the heart of the whole experience. It's not trying to perform or to impress anybody, but it's delivering the music and the message of that music in its best, most powerful form. Yeah.
So, I mean, moving on from the beginning of the choir, and obviously, as I said in the introduction, you've done lots of very impressive venues and working with some very impressive and famous musicians. So tell me how that comes about and what's that like? I mean, working with Madonna or working with anyone.
Yeah.
Actually, see, my choir, I wasn't in this, my choir worked with Madonna at the Eurovision Song Contest when she did the opening number, I Like a Pear. So we were the monks, the monks. And we were told that, I wasn't actually in it, that they weren't allowed to look at her in the face. So I just wondered what it's like working with her.
Well, she's actually taken LCGC in the studio maybe 3 times.
Wow.
Obviously. She flies in and then the biggest song was I think Like a Prayer. One of them we did that and recorded that in Chiswick.
Did you record it with her present or just?
Oh, yeah, she came. And there's Air Lyndhurst studio up in near beyond Camden. She's very hands-on. She had her choreographer, her dancers there as well with the choir. And we were preparing for the performance in Hyde Park. Nobody stepped out of line in terms of the choreographers. She insisted, and if they did it wrong twice, they were doing it the 3rd time, and so forth. She was like that. And the choir, she kept an eye on the choir sound, so everybody was on point. They were watching, listening carefully.
Was the creative direction from her?
From her. She had her director there, but her word is the last word. But not offensively. She just knew what she wanted. And I think everybody got accustomed to that. It's listening to Madonna and just doing things as she wants it done. And that was it. And musically as well, there were the couple of sessions that we did with her, which was all about the voices and how choir delivering the melodies and the sort of dynamics that she wanted. And she was indicating what she wanted to her guy, and he was explaining it to the choir. We enjoyed working with her. In fact, on one of the singles, she was nominated for a Grammy. And my lead singer, Annette Boyan, did some ad-libs in the studio. So she asked us to come out with Annette. And we went to LA to the Grammys with Annette and performed. Wow. That's the one where she was, remember she had an accident with the cape?
Oh, yeah.
And the guy pulled, apparently it was that. They explained, it's the sticker that should have come loose.
But didn't,
Didn't, and he pulled so hard that she fell backwards. It was that occasion.
That occasion, memorable. Is there anyone who you haven't performed with that you really have loved to perform with? Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Your ideal who? I mean, you said Aretha Franklin, but
having to perforn with Aretha,
no,
that would be
the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dionne Warwick, Diana Ross Stevie, Luther, my most amazing.
Luther Vandross.
Yeah. Amazing experience. Wonderful human being. We did the Albert Hall show, his covers album at the Royal Albert Hall. We rehearsed for about 2-3 days in Docklands Arena when it existed. And then went to the Albert Hall and did the show there. And he brought Mariah Carey over and I think Lisa Fisher. And we had a ball. And he, different to many of them, acknowledged me and the choir as if we'd been working together for years. And that's how he treated us during the time. Yeah, he was outstanding. We did Foreigner at Wembley with I Want to Know What Love Is. That was
I think you were just a conductor. You obviously sing as well.
Me, I sing as well. I play, I sing, I front the choir, conduct. Bit of everything.
Bit of everything.
Yeah.
Right, now at this point in the exercise, in the podcast, the guest, i.e. you, tried to teach me something.
So
this always is either
Have we got time?
Yes, let's. I've got the time. Yes. So what are we going to try? What are we going to try?
A song that I sing personally, and
Yes.
I teach in Europe, says, "God has smiled on me." Sing that line.
God has smiled on me.
Smile. God has smiled on me.
God has smiled on me.
He has set me free.
He has set me free.
God has smiled on me.
God has smiled on me.
And last line, He's been good to me.
He's been good to me. Woo! That's quite high register though, that.
Yeah, I did it falsetto.
Yeah, it was a bit of falsetto. Yeah.
But you made it.
Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Well, that was my first ever
debut.
My
As a
debut.
gospel singer.
Yes, possibly my last ever. But anyway, hey, that was really great. So you were telling me before that you've stepped back a little bit now, and that your son and daughter.
Yeah, Leon and Vanetta. They're at the helm at the moment, and not at the moment, it's 2 years now they've been doing it. So I'm there because 40-odd years, they were children. I was dragging them around Europe, touring on a bus with LCGC. So they know what it's about. They were born into it. Leon was choir mascot. So he'd be on stage with the conductor, as a pint size, dressed identical to the conductor. In fact, the Queen's 60th birthday, the Royal Opera House, we were there. We were asked to bring the little man who was Leon. We had to get him in a suit, a three-piece suit, I think we had built for him. And the Queen Mother was there, and she had a dress on wearing sequins. And when she was being introduced, he began pulling the sequins off her dress. He's never lived it down because I keep talking about it.
I should say no. The joy of the joy of youth. I suppose.
The innocent,
the innocence of blues. Are you okay, sort of handing over the reins, or do you feel that?
I don't know if I wouldn't pat myself on the back because it's. I've just stopped doing something I've been doing for nearly 50 years.
So that's quite hard.
But 42 years with LCGC. So it's a challenge in many ways. I've got to learn to keep my mouth shut, even though, because they're doing things differently. I think they would have learned from a lot of my mistakes. I know I made a lot of mistakes.
Well, we all do, don't we? I mean, it's impossible not to.
Yeah, my business skills are not brilliant. What I have is my passion for the music that I want to get out there.
Which comes over even this podcast. And as I think we were saying earlier, passion is everything. Otherwise, nothing works. Because it's too much on. It's too difficult. It's not an easy thing to be doing, either to perform or to get everyone together. It's hard. You were mentioning you have a new album out.
New album will be released in October. Again, that's Leon doing all that.
This October.
This October.
Okay. And what's the album called?
Oh my goodness!
I've put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot.
I'll put you on that. Well, don't worry. What we'll do is we'll mention that in the program notes afterwards. I think this song we're about to hear, this is from the new album?
This song you're about to play is from the new album.
Can we hear a little bit of the new song? I know this will be edited in, but just so I can...
I think it's Gold. No, it's not.
Early mornings never felt so heavy.
So these are original tracks? These have been written?
It was written by Leon.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. I think he's co-written some of them with Rebecca Thomas's choir conductor as well. Nice song.
To think these memories will fade. I know I've got my pride, but I know I will.
Because it's interesting. I suppose up to now I wouldn't have called that gospel.
But it is. It has gospel, soul, blues. And that's where music is changing every generation.
And that's the great thing. There becomes a mixture. Everything fuses, influences each other. So no genre is pure. It's a mixture.
It's a mixture. And as I said to my people, let's write our own song, write about our journey, we can copy American music, but that's not being genuine. It's not being real to ourselves.
So English gospel,
British gospel,
British.
Yeah.
Thank you, British.
That's what you'll hear there, and that's what we must do.
Yes, otherwise you're just repeating someone
Yeah.
else's music. Can I just lastly ask you, because I like asking all the guests this, I presume you've been on stage and something's gone wrong. I don't know, people starting on the wrong note or just something.
That happens, yes. Oh, yes.
Do you have a story?
No. Oh, my goodness. I think I've tried to delete those from my memory. I'm trying to remember some of them. It's just like recently, I say Marlborough College.
Yes.
This is recent because we're not robots.
But I've always said the joy of live entertainment psychologically is because you think it can go wrong. If you knew it was going to be perfect, it wouldn't have the magic. So going wrong is part and parcel of it. So I don't think it's not.
Yeah. And again, it's like a song that we do a cappella. And it's quite tricky because there are cannons happening and the parts cutting across each other. And we're in the middle. We had one run of it, and we're going back to the second. And the second run, there was a brain fog moment. But the audience would have never have known it. So we're following the conductor, and he realizes that's not quite right. But the choir just continues doing what they know they normally do.
Until they get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the skill. That's the skill. Yeah, because if everybody falls apart and the features change and body language changes.
I think you're right, and I think that's a skill for all performers because things always go wrong. It's keeping the smile. It's like with dancers. It's just keeping that smile,
that's
and no one has any.
No one else out there.
It's the face that gives it away. It's if a sudden panic appears, then
and the keyboard player would have been playing, and all of a sudden his hands go up in the air. It's not me.
It's not me. Honest. Yes. No. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic, Basil. Thank you very, very much indeed for being here.
I am happy you invited me. I'm very glad we can chat and for the first time.
First time, nice to meet you. Hopefully not the last. So I'd like to thank, as I said, Basil very much for being on the podcast, and I hope everyone out there enjoyed watching it and listening to it. If you want to learn more about Basil or indeed the London Community Gospel Choir, want to learn about forthcoming episodes or want to comment on this one or hear about our live shows, which will be happening at some point, do visit our
website,
our various social media channels, which are Variety Podcast Official on TikTok, YouTube, and on Instagram, of course. And we look forward to seeing everyone at the next episode. Thank you very much.